Fire Emblem Awakening. Where do I even begin with this game? Before playing Awakening, the only actual RPGs I'd ever played were Sticker Star, which is sort of an RPG, and Bowser's Inside Story. They were really good, even Sticker Star. Shut up, world. However, I am probably the worst at turn-based strategy RPGs. It wasn't until my friend Triforce of Doom recommended Awakening to me that I even considered playing it because it just wasn't appealing to me. But after realizing that there was a casual mode for this game, which I desperately needed, I borrowed the game from him and tried playing. I couldn't put it down for a month. Awakening does everything right, and if this was a review, I would delve into those things, but what always stood out to me were the support conversations.
What?
They were probably my favorite part of the game. I was always so excited when I unlocked the next part of a conversation. So, a while after beating the game, I thought it would be fun to go through all of the support conversations and make a countdown out of them. That was, a long time ago, actually. I'm a really bad procrastinator. It took me an entire year to get through all 219 of Awakening's romantic support conversations. However, it has been worth it. I got to see the hilarious, the sweet, and the touching. But not all of them are as good as the others, so here are my picks for the top 10 Fire Emblem Awakening romantic support conversations. I think it's about time this was done. Younger kids can either be the devil itself or an absolute joy to play with. Sometimes both. They're always wanting to play something with you. One recurring game I used to find myself in the midst of was House. It was always fun, which contributes to my liking of the long queue and Naui support.
So hey!
Long queue and Naui are about as close to opposites as you can get in this game. Naui is a 1,000-year-old maniquette who doesn't look a day over 12 with a bubbly and constantly cheerful attitude. Long Q, on the other hand, is a serious and secluded gynophobic who practically explodes when a woman gets within 30 feet of him. But not Naui. For some reason, Long Q doesn't experience his crippling fear around Naui and ends up agreeing to play house with her. Naui becomes mom and Long Q becomes dad. However, Naui quickly realizes she has no idea what it means to be a family and goes into town to observe a family. But maybe not the typical family. The next time they play, Naui resorts to yelling at Long Q and sending him out to sleep in the stables. Long Q doesn't like this idea of a family and sends Naui back out to observe more families. Naui learns that family means more than just yelling, and they play again, this time much sweeter than before. Then Long Q realizes that he doesn't just want their family to be a game. He wants it to be reality, and proposes to Naui, who accepts. Which the fact that she looks 12 makes it really weird. I like this support conversation both for how unique and subtly funny it is, and how touching the ending is. Every girl dreams of a dashing knight that will save them from whatever trouble may come their way. But when that particular knight won't show himself, it could drive them mad. Such is the case in the Brady and Cynthia support. This support starts off with Cynthia explaining to Brady that someone has been helping her in battle, and despite all these obvious hints, doesn't know who it is because she doesn't see the mysterious person. She leaves with the determination to find them. This cues Brady. By the way, in case you haven't figured it out yet, Brady is her mysterious savior. To be more careful to not let her see him. By using smokescreens. Smokescreens! What? Instead of discouraging Cynthia into letting it go, it simply makes her more curious and even more determined to find out who her mysterious savior is. So, because for some reason Brady is bent on making sure she doesn't find out it's him, he makes Lissa confess to being the Phantom Helper. But Lissa isn't exactly the type to keep secrets and ends up telling Cynthia who really was her Phantom Helper. And this gives Cynthia the courage to tell Brady that she really likes him, and Brady returns the feeling. I love the whole Phantom Helper idea. It's really weird, but really cool at the same time, and I love how oblivious Cynthia is to who really is the Phantom Helper. When Cynthia finds out who it really was a sweet moment, too. If I were to make a countdown of my favorite Fire Emblem Awakening characters, which I'm not, most definitely Muriel would be number 1. I love her dry, witty intellect. But coming in a close second would be Inigo. His hilarious philandering always has me laughing in most of his support conversations, and believe me, this is not the last time you will see him on this list. First off, shame on you, Inigo, for trying to use Morgan's memory loss to your advantage. Amnesia is a serious impairment.
Huh?
This support starts off pretty much the same as the rest of his, Inigo trying to get a date. This time he uses Morgan's amnesia as his reason, saying a cup of tea might jog her memory. Hogwash! Morgan initially doesn't understand his request and says they should invite everyone, which Inigo replies with everyone is busy. Hogwash! Morgan then shoots him down, but Inigo will not fall. Later, Morgan finds Inigo distressed because another lady shot him down. Morgan takes pity and agrees to let Inigo take her on a date, to pretty much the most expensive place in town. After that, a while later, Morgan finds him distressed again because another girl didn't shoot him down, but instead robbed him of what little money he had left after his date with Morgan. Oh, and apparently his shirt, too. Morgan takes pity on Inigo again and buys him dinner, which rejuvenates him to his old self. She also offers to be Inigo's personal bodyguard by hiding whenever he's on a date. But Inigo comes to and decides to give up on other ladies, much to Morgan's dismay. He confesses his love for Morgan, which initially shocks her, but she concedes pretty quickly. Basically, the reason why I love a lot of Inigo's supports is how hilarious they are with his rotten luck with the ladies. But his support with Morgan is especially good with the unique scenario of him getting robbed and Morgan's flippance with the whole situation. Back again so soon, Inigo? I suppose you deserve Na's scolding then. Told you it wouldn't be the last time you see Inigo on this list. This time, we start out with little Na giving Inigo a scolding for his flirtatious attitude and bringing up some old memories. Like that time a woman punched Inigo in the face. Oh, and the one that dislocated his shoulder. Priceless. After getting turned down for about the 500th time, Na appears again to scold him again, and to suggest that if he shuts up, women might come to him, like her, for example. She's blushing. That means love. Unfortunately, Inigo dismisses her, saying she's too young to worry about affairs of the heart. This gets Na thinking and determined to convince Inigo that she isn't young, by nearly scaring Inigo to death by turning into a dragon in front of his eyes. This shocks Inigo into respect, probably just so he doesn't get eaten by Na. Na is happy about this and states that the only thing left is to pick a date for the wedding. Wait, what? You scare a guy to death and then ask him, no, order him to marry you? To be his chaperone? Next. Now we move on to one of the more famous support conversations and one of the more famous characters, Tharja. Tharja, quite simply, is nuts. Crazy. Not right in the head. However you want to say it. She is obsessed about testing new curses and testing them on other people. There's also one other thing she's interested in. Robin. In fact, she's so obsessed with him that she watches his every single move. Yikes. She's entirely devoted for him, for some perfectly logical reason, and does everything she can to win him over, including becoming normal, and trying a bit too hard, which inadvertently just makes her crazier. But after Robin falls faint from sickness, Tharsha proves that she isn't just crazy by nursing him back to health. We'll just ignore the fact that the reason she saw him faint is she was still stalking him. Robin appreciates Tharsha's act of kindness and begins being more kind to her. The only part that never made sense was the S rank part, so we'll just ignore that. The rest of it more than makes up for it. And now for perhaps the most famous support conversation of them all, Chrom and Robin. This support is the epitome of making the best out of an awkward situation. Starting off, after a casual comment from Robin about beauty sleep, Chrom admits that he never really thought of her as a lady. If this were Sully, that would be met wonderfully. However, Chrom keeps digging himself deeper into a hole with Robin, desperately trying to redeem himself, but ending up running away after Robin threatens to fix his eyesight. Oops. Then, to add insult to injury, Chrom makes relations even worse by accidentally going into the women's bath tent while Robin is in there. This makes for an absolutely hilarious scene, resulting in Chrom just making an even bigger fool of himself. But soon the tides are turned, and Robin makes the same mistake somehow and walks in on Chrom taking a bath, mistaking the male bath tent for the weapons tent. Now with both of them making the same mistake, it creates a special bond between them. And then they get engaged and all that stuff, but who cares? I just like the funny stuff. Moving on. No lady is safe from the vicious philandering of Inigo, but to what extent will they go to get a date? Why don't we find out in his support with Kjell? Turns out it's pretty far, cause Kjell is an incredibly stubborn gal. But so is Inigo, as we've had plenty of examples before. So after some haggling, Kjell agrees to go out with him. On one condition. He has to beat her in a dueling match. Which is not quite a fair match considering Kjell's dedication to her training regimen. But persistence is Inigo's greatest strength. Sometimes to the point of being a little too persistent, meaning he duels her almost every day to win. And of course never actually does. But his persistence does make Kjell question Inigo's motives and reconsider her previous notion that this was just some fleeting interest he had. After not much longer, Inigo finally does succeed, breaking the wall around Kjell's heart. The S support is actually quite sweet and is a personal favorite. The whole thing is just funny and sweet, all mixed together. Also, this line is priceless. I love it. What is it with the Avatar's children and relentless happiness? Both Morgan and Kana are constantly happy. And you know who that bugs? Brady. Brady is not the type of person to take a shining to a constantly happy person whose head is filled with puppies, rainbows, and unicorns. He even goes so far as to accuse Morgan of being an enemy spy. Which is just ridiculous, but you know, it's Brady. Brady's other flaw is tending to find himself in a not-so-healthy situation, like in this support working himself to absolute exhaustion. Morgan, of course, being her usual cheerful self, offers to help, but, you know, traitor and the like. Brady shoots her down, but Morgan has a persistence all of her own. Maybe Robin and Olivia are related or something. Her persistence includes trying to get Brady to get healthier by feeding him viper blood and bear gizzard. It's gotta be strong because, hey, bears! Am I right? Lol, I love that line so much. Though it actually does work. Quite well, actually. Works well enough to end Brady's suspicion of Morgan, which is a step in the right direction. In fact, he even starts to appreciate her happy-go-lucky attitude and her kindness. In fact, her kindness is why he ends up liking her in the end. But the sweetest thing about this whole support is how happy Brady makes Morgan when he confesses, because that's just what she wanted the whole time. When I played through Fire Emblem Awakening, I did not get how the game worked at all, especially the whole marriage thing. So by the time I actually figured it out, I already had a lot of people married, so I couldn't really choose. Consequently, the conversations I saw never really held much interest to me, except one. The very first couple I ever had marry was Lon Q and Muriel. I have no idea how this started, probably just because it ended up moving them next to each other, but boy am I glad I did start this relationship, because it proved to be just about as hilarious as you can get.
Yes.
Allow me to explain. The support starts out with Muriel lost in a book. Shocker. She is so lost in her book that she doesn't see a cliff before her. Luckily, the valiant Lon Q is nearby, who stops her by grabbing her arm, which is not an action he would have liked to do. Muriel is also quite flustered, noting the pace at which her heart is running, which then turns into a scientific experiment. Why does her heart race? She must find out. And if you know anything about science, you should know that the best way to find out why something happens is to replicate the scenario and study it. Which in Muriel's case requires 7 attempted suicides. Though to be fair, she knew they wouldn't be suicides because Lon Q was nearby. She's so confident about this, she even jumps in front of a cart of minstrels. Her first hypothesis is that her heart raced from immediate danger, but a second hypothesis is that her heart races from being close to Lon Q. She assumes that being close to someone new might have excited her, which requires replicating the experiment and trying to die. Lon Q lets slip that he is uncomfortable around her, which Muriel takes an immediate fascination with. To what extent does his aversion go and why? So she decides to test that by filling Lon Q's tent with statues of women. He, quite obviously, reacts to them by smashing them to bits, but Muriel doesn't understand that it was because she literally filled his tent with statues. Anyway, she continues to test his condition for a while, with Lon Q's resistance at first. But as time goes, and she continues to test on Lon Q day after day, he comes to expect her. And in the S support, Muriel realizes that she is doing her experience more for the point of being with him, but she can't explain it. But Lon Q can, for love is not something that science can explain. Also, the number of drop-dead hilarious lines in this support is astounding. Because there were so many support conversations that were just amazing, here are a few honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Nope.
You want some?
Well,
Hey. What?
huh?
Going through all of the support conversations was a very long and tedious process. Not all of them are even that good. A lot of them are repetitive and boring or just stupid. Then, every once in a while, I'd come across a good one and I'd have a good laugh at it. But my number one pick stood out so far from the others relatively that it was astounding. They say opposites attract, but when you put two absolute cynics together, they stick like glue.
Hey.
Right.
Meet Brady and Severa, the two grumpiest and unsocial characters in all of Awakening. Both of them have a complete lack of social skills and hate humanity. So, they decide to make a club! Oh, I'm sorry, a society. The Severa and Brady S&B Society. S&B actually standing for Snark and Bark. Best society name ever. Basically, Severa comes up with the idea for it because she feels that the two of them need to team up in cynicism. Brady's got his suspicions about it, but reluctantly agrees to join. Big mistake for him. Severa quickly turns toward the extravagant side. Somehow, she gets to be the CEO and president, and Brady becomes the treasurer, which Severa somehow takes it to mean he pays for everything. And she wants some ridiculous stuff, all to make her society into something others will be jealous of. Really, it's a lot for Brady to do, but he likes it, cause it makes her happy. But only when a storm completely blows away the S&B tent, even with the decorations, does Severa's true intentions come to light. Severa did the entire thing just to be with Brady the whole time. Though perhaps it was not quite the best way to accomplish that, but oh well. All's well that ends well, right? And this one certainly ends well.